President-elect Donald Trump is expected to name Stephen Miller as White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Miller is Trump's top immigration advisor. He is a lead architect of Trump's plans for mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, and he has said that a second Trump administration would seek a tenfold increase in the number of deportations to more than 1 million per year. Joining us now for more on this is former Obama Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson. He is also a partner at Paul Weiss. Nice to see you. Thanks for your time. So Stephen Miller, as I noted, is seen as an architect of Trump's mass deportation plan. What is your reaction to this news?
Pam, any administration in the enforcement of immigration law and policy has to have priorities. Mass deportation, the phrase mass deportation, is a bumper sticker. It's a rallying cry. But any administration, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, Obama, Bush, has to have priorities. And the priorities are the most dangerous among undocumented immigrants. I want to see ICE, ERO going after the criminals, going after the national security threats. When they're released from jail, turn them straight over to ICE for deportation after they've been deported from our country. And I know Tom Homan knows that as well because he used to work for me at DHS.
So I want to follow up with you on that because you did work with Tom Homan. Tom Homan is very anti-sanctuary cities. What you said, though, is you said, look, they should be handed over to federal authorities. In sanctuary cities, that's not typically allowed. So what do you say to that? And what do you say about Tom taking on this role as border czar?
Well, you know, I've dealt with a lot of major cities, big city mayors when I was in office about the sanctuary city movement. And we were able to get a fair amount of traction when it came to working with mayors saying, look, we need you to give us the most dangerous in your jails who are undocumented for the sake of the public safety of your own citizens. Now, Tom, I worked with a lot, and he was with me when he was at ICE. He was very definitely pro-enforcement. I don't recognize, frankly, the Tom Homan I hear public speaking these days, but he does understand the hurdles and the law. I don't understand the appointment of Tom Homan as a border czar, responsible for border security, aviation security, maritime security. That's the job of the Secretary of Homeland Security. That's 60 or 70% of the job, and it is entirely within the Department of Homeland Security. Normally, you appoint a czar to lead an interagency, multi-department effort. So I have a lot of questions about this appointment.
So you think, though, that the fact that he does have operational experience and understands the complexities could be a positive, though?
Yes, I do. Tom understands the complexities of immigration law and enforcement. But this idea of some sort of mass deportation is frankly not workable. I'd much rather see ICE go after the criminals versus somebody who's been in this country for 10 and 15 years, committed no crimes, has a small business, and has U.S. citizen children. These are people who are de facto Americans. Go after the criminals.
So let's talk a little bit more about that because, you know, you say go after the criminals. We've actually heard from J.D. Vance for his part, right, and others close to Trump, that will be their overall priority. But at the same time, you're also hearing Trump say, look, day one, we're going to focus on mass deportations. Practically, with a promise like that, I mean, how do you even do that, and how do you do it without hurting the economy?
That's a good question. First, if you're looking for people to send back, there has to be a final order of deportation. If the order is issued in absentia, without the person present, they're entitled to an automatic rehearing. They have to have exhausted their appeal process, and then you have to find them. And that's not a difficult process. And by the time you winnow down that list, it's not nearly as great as you think it is. I'd much rather see ICE go after public safety threats, the criminals, gang members, and potential national security threats. That's where the focus needs to be. That's where it's always been, including during the previous Trump administration.
Do you think that the Biden administration was remiss in not doing that enough?
Um, no, I won't say that. I'm sure that the priorities were public safety threats and the like, because it was the written policy of my successor, Ali Mayorkas. It's all a question of resources, Pam. How much do you want to devote to this? But even if Congress gives you endless amounts of resources, the dangerous among us have to be the priorities.
I spoke with former Trump acting DHS Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli last week about some of the claims. He wrote the section on immigration in Project 2025. I want to play some of what he told me regarding what should happen with family separations.
When it comes to mixed families, by that we mean you may, as you use the example of a citizen child and illegal parents, the family's going to make that decision. The government isn't going to make that decision. And they'll be given the time to do that, I expect, but they're going to have to make that decision. And their earlier decisions obviously have brought their family to the point of having to make that future decision of where they live and whether they live together or apart.
And I should also note that Tom Homan on 60 Minutes was asked the question, is there a way to do this without separating families? And he said, well, you just, yeah, sure, you deport the families together. What is your reaction to that?
Pam, when I was Secretary of DHS, the way I approach this issue is I could not ask a Border Patrol agent or an ICE enforcement agent to do something I wouldn't do myself. And I could not pull a father away from a 2-year-old U.S. citizen-born child at the border or someplace else. To me, that's an inhumane policy. Again, the priorities need to be the criminals. The priorities need to be the public safety, national security threats. And there are enough of them in our jails today to keep ICE very, very busy. My concern, Pam, about mass deportation, this notion of mass deportation, it's going to turbocharge the sanctuary city movement in big cities such that local law enforcement will refuse to work with ICE in getting at the public safety threats.
Jeh Johnson, thank you so much. So interesting to hear your perspective as the former Secretary of DHS and someone, as we noted, who worked with Tom Homan. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.